you can't get on a train or enter a building because you're disabled, it isn't just an inconvenience, it's a denial of a human right. Today we meet two activists in Moscow whose own disabilities have made them all the more determined to bring about change.
It's almost time for the daily commute. Anatoly Popko grabs a coffee and says goodbye to his baby daughter. Now he enters the city's intimidating metro system.
Once I exit the train, I have to listen carefully, and then I have to, be real careful moving around.
That takes courage, because Anatoly can't see. He's been blind since childhood.
I have to dash from pillar to pillar to be as quick as I can.
29-year-old Anatoly is one of the very few blind or disabled people to attempt to navigate the metro or even head out onto Moscow's streets. According to the United Nations, Russia's 13 million people with disabilities face not only physical barriers like hard-to-access public transport and buildings, but also widespread prejudice and discrimination. Many are deprived of job opportunities. 90% of the nation's disabled people are unemployed.
If you walk downtown Moscow, then you probably will not see any disabled person for hours, or maybe you will not see one at all.
Historically, people in Russia with a range of disabilities were sent to institutions, like these blind children in the early 20th century, when the Tsar still reigned. Here, children learned traditional skills like weaving and braille, but their lives were strictly regimented. In the Soviet era, thousands were housed in large, isolated, purpose-built communities, such as this so-called City of the Blind on the outskirts of Moscow. Its concrete apartment blocks are now partly abandoned, its remaining elderly residents left to wander its paths. And today, the marginalization continues. The blind people who can find work often have no choice but to spend their working lives carrying out menial tasks, like these employees assembling light bulbs at a factory in Moscow. For Anatoly, his life changed completely when he went blind at the age of 12.
I don't like to talk about that day. There were lots of tears shed. I left him in the clinic.
Doctors told Anatoly's mother that her son had detached retinas in both eyes because of an inherited condition.
I saw the rows of trees and I realized he would never see them again.
For a whole year, Anatoly didn't even go to school.
He lay down and kept lying down all the time while I sat on the floor in the kitchen and cried. Practically the entire year he lay down, face to the wall. Being 12 years old, he had nothing to interest him.
But finally, Anatoly found something he could do. It was a small start, but it proved to be a turning point.
There was a moment when he said he didn't want to leave and become a burden to the family. The only thing I could think to say was, "Why don't you help me?" He asked what he could do. I said that he could wash dishes. After that, he mastered dishwashing, and he became the best in the family.
At 13, Anatoly returned to school and began to excel. He went on to enroll at the highly prestigious Moscow State University, where he studied public administration. Today, he returns for the first time in 4 years with his brother, and it brings up feelings.
Old memories, oh my, I'm gonna cry here.
Anatoly recalls being one of a handful of blind students among tens of thousands.
Every once in a while I would meet a person who would say, well, I don't like disabled people. I despise you. And I don't like you walking around here because you make me upset. Just go somewhere and don't be around. Yeah.
But this simply fueled Anatoly's determination to change attitudes. He graduated from university in 2007, convinced that every person with a disability has the right to live an active life in a tolerant, fully integrated society.
It's quite an ordinary approach for us to blame blindness for all of our problems. I'm lonely because I'm blind. I can't go to work. I can't get employed because I'm blind. I can't be happy because I'm blind. I try not to, concentrate on that. I'm trying to make myself see it as a technical problem.
And so he joined the All Russia Association of the Blind, intent on opening up the world for blind people. His search for solutions led him to discover an ingenious new technology developed thousands of miles away in Canada and Western Europe, a device that gives the blind a freedom and independence they've never experienced before.
Yeah, here we go. It found 9 satellites right away.
The satellites transmit the user's exact position to a receiver.
Now it tells me that it is a park.
And then, combining with a cell phone, a voice gives the user directions to follow, right down to the last detail. In Anatoly's case, it tells him exactly where to turn in a city park.
Yeah, 10 meters at 7 o'clock. So this point, here we go. T-H-I-S, this, I-S-A.
Anatoly also found this remarkable tool, a new mode of communication that vastly increases the reach of the blind. This voice recognition software, developed over the past 2 decades in the US, enables users to harness the almost limitless information available on the internet, including email to any part of the planet.
I'm going through the just emails that are in my inbox. 13 messages altogether.
A voice reads out every word that Anatoly's cursor passes over.
Of a woman MP3, 134 megabytes actually. Then here's another link to listen to these commentaries online. Though
when he writes, he can hear every letter he hits on his keyboard, and even his mistakes are corrected.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
This access is a game changer for the blind, connecting them to global networks and allowing them to enter today's information-driven job markets. But it's not just about work. Now the blind can also enjoy a movie. This audio version of the Hollywood film Scent of a Woman describes what can be seen on screen at every moment.
This lady, she's commenting film, and she says, you see the blue and pink sky and the college campus consisting of the buildings that are made of yellow and brown brick walls. They are making fun of me.
Watching a movie, he says, makes him part of the community's conversation. And bringing the blind into the community also means taking part in leisure activities, like this version of table tennis. And even shooting. Here, a sound signal in his ear tells him if he's hitting the target. But Anatoly's goal is to change Russia not just for blind people, but for all people with disabilities.
When you go out, people stare at you as if you're an alien or something.
At one time, the physical and psychological barriers facing 26-year-old Yevgenia Voskobonikova seemed all but insurmountable. 5 years ago, she was working as a model, but a car accident caused by a drunk driver left her with a broken spine.
At that time, it was not possible to think about anything. When it happened, I had only one goal: to survive somehow. Because doctors gave me almost no chance of recovering. They said I barely had half a year to live, and that I would hardly be able to sit up, let alone walk.
Today, she's landed a job as a reporter with Moscow-based TV Rain, interviewing presidents and politicians and broadcasting about the environment. She could hardly be more visible. But even this elegantly designed, state-of-the-art TV studio doesn't have a functioning elevator after 6 p.m., once the operator goes home. This is the only solution for Yevgenia.
I wish that people with disabilities were involved in the process of planning for buildings and maybe included in the drafting of construction standards.
There are signs that Yevgenia's wish for greater access is starting to be fulfilled. Moscow has declared that it will be barrier-free by 2020, meaning that people in wheelchairs should be able to enter any public building or facility. The city's Minister for Social Security, Vladimir Petrosyan.
When we create a barrier-free environment, we will start to see these people among us on the streets, at bus stops, in clinics, in shops, in theaters, in parks and other places. This by itself will help create a tolerant attitude among Muscovites, treating them like equals.
Another major shift, this time on the national level, came in 2008, when the Russian Federation signed the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And there's hope the government will soon ratify it, helping push the country toward greater social integration. It's a hope that both Anatoly and Yevgenia are resolved to build on by acting as agents of change in today's Russia. Together, they host this fashion show for people with disabilities. It's a step, they believe, towards altering perceptions and creating new openings.
The things we achieve today, we will pass on to future generations. I think that in time, we will be able to achieve 100% integration. Sooner or later, and heaven knows at what price, but we will have it.
For Anatoly, his life has shifted again with the birth of his daughter, 10-month-old Polina. Her arrival means new responsibility as a father and a new focus on the future. At heart, he hopes his daughter's life will be shaped by the same spirit as his own.
Independence is something inside my head, pretty much.
Next track.
Because I feel myself independent, and that pretty much means that if I want to do something, then I can do it.